So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today for a Taste of Transcona virtual small talk. I am Jennifer. I'm the assistant curator at the Transcona Museum, and with me is Alana.
Hi, I'm the curator at the Transcona Museum.
And we are both in our kitchens today doing two 1960s recipes from the Transcona cookbook, carrot loaf and meat pie. So our presentation is going to begin shortly. I'm going to switch it over to Alana because I have to go get my meat pie out of the oven.
So when we have done these previously, we have always done sweet dessert type items from the cookbook. So we figured since we're back on lockdown, essentially, we're at home, we have access to kitchens. So why not actually make some of those savory things that we've been putting off? So Jen is actually taking hers out of the oven. Mine just came out of the oven a couple of minutes ago. So while Jen's getting it up, I can't go to the next slide on the presentation.
Oh, I will do that. There we go.
So first off, we would like to ask if you like what we do to support the Transcona Museum. So please consider making a donation or becoming a museum member. And this is all available on our website. You can stay in touch. So, visit our website to find out what's going on. We actually just created a portal with all of our virtual elements that we have at the museum, our virtual tour, these small talk videos, printables and coloring pages, and lots of things that you can do while you're at home while we're in Code Red. You can follow us on social media, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and we have a blog. You can join our mailing list so you don't miss out on anything that we're doing. And we tend to only send things out about once a month, maybe twice a month. We don't spam your inboxes or anything like that.
No.
So before we would begin, we'd like to acknowledge that the Transcona Museum, that we are meeting on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, as well as the homeland of the Métis Nation.
So, like I said, we're doing our Taste of Transcona. I completely spelled Transcona Museum wrong, but we are the Transcona Museum, and we're going to be talking about our process today, making these two 1960s recipes. So the first thing we're going to chat about today is the Taste of Transcona blog series. And I'm going to switch it back to you, Alana, because I got to put my meat pie back in the oven.
Okay. So when I was actually doing an exhibit a number of years ago, I came across this Transcona News cookbook in the newspapers that we have. And it's from 1964, and it's individuals from the community who submitted recipes from savory to sweet. And there was two sections that ended up in the newspaper. And I thought it would be really fun to actually try to make some of these recipes, because some look familiar to things that we have today, and then some don't look so familiar. So I had wanted to, for that exhibit opening, which was all about 1960s Transcona, make some of the recipes, and that didn't work out. But a couple of years ago, we thought, well, why don't we actually start this as a blog element on our blog? So we started making some of the recipes, and we started with the sweet, the easy things, the things that we were pretty sure we were gonna enjoy when we ate them. However, there's a lot of savory recipes, and 1960s cooking is known for some weird and wonderful things. And so we decided to challenge ourselves this time and make some of those savory items today.
So some general thoughts about some of the cooking that we've done over the past couple of years. Some of the recipes were really good. I really enjoyed they were those like little sweet sandwich biscuit cookies.
Mm-hmm.
The chocolate chip loaf was also really good. Your cherry loaf smelled amazing.
Oh, it smelled like Christmas to me. But we did see that a lot of times the recipe was at times unclear. It didn't give many directions, or in some at all. There was one cake that one of our summer students made. It just listed the ingredients and then it said to frost. No temperature for the oven, no directions on how you should mix things like that. And baking is very different than cooking. There is definitely a process you have to follow. And I'm not a very good baker. So for me, it was definitely challenging doing some of the sweet stuff. However, I'm a pretty good cook, so I can do savory maybe a little bit better.
Yes, I've at least tended to shy away from some of the savory because I really enjoy baking. That's my little niche. And some of the savory items are not quite appealing to me.
Well, even sweet, you were not too keen on because a lot of them were Jello, and they had which are things that you do not enjoy.
No, I mean, it's the 1960s, so there's a lot of, you're using canned processed ingredients. So, canned pineapple, canned peaches, oranges. I think there was, oh my God, that tuna salad or whatever that was.
It was chicken gumbo salad using lemon Jello. And we didn't, one of our summer students made it. It didn't actually make it to the blog. We just tried it and it wasn't very palatable to
you
our
guys tried it.
Yeah.
I left the room.
Yeah. It wouldn't be far to say that it looked like cat food. It was definitely interesting. And I've made actual gumbo, like from scratch, authentic gumbo, and there is no lemon Jello to be found anywhere with gumbo.
I wonder if part of that was a typo or someone was just like, oh, let's just see what happens.
Mix all these things together and just call it gumbo. Yeah, not really sure.
Not really sure, but I guess, so what was the process for choosing our recipes today and how we settled on the ones we did?
For some of them, it was what sort of ingredients do we already essentially have on hand? We didn't want to have to go out and do a lot of shopping for this.
What with COVID?
Right, that and just not wanting to leave the house. Part of it was also what seems a bit odd or not something we've ever had or not something we would think of having. Something that wouldn't take hours and hours to cook in the kitchen. And I think that was it. And there's a lot of duplication actually in the cookbook. So there's many recipes for barbecue spare ribs and stuff like that. But we chose some of the odder ones, I guess you could say, that we found.
I mean, at least the criteria for me was, if I'm going to be doing this, it has to be something that at least I and my parents will eat, right? I didn't want to waste any of the ingredients for this thing.
I did tell my family what I was making and all the ingredients, and I don't think any of them are keen to eat this with me. Now, mine, interestingly enough, it's a carrot loaf. Potentially, it could be a good vegetarian dish, or even probably easily modified to be a vegan dish as well. It's just there's like almost no seasoning to it. And so I really don't know what it's going to taste like.
That's actually a good comment. There's like barely any seasoning in mine too. There's salt, pepper, and oregano.
Mine just had salt and pepper.
I'll just switch it to the next slide. So yes, carrot loaf and meat pie. So where's my recipe here? So the meat pie is basically, I was thinking it was going to be like a meat pie. You have the crust and then you have the delicious meat filling. It's not. It's actually the crust itself is the meat. So it's tomato sauce, breadcrumbs, ground beef, onion, not very much onion at all, salt, oregano, and pepper. And then you squish that down into a pie pan. And then your filling is minute rice, water, tomato sauce, and cheese. A little bit of salt. And what I just did at the beginning of our talk was taking it out of the oven halfway through and then put the rest of the cheese on top. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, mine was very simple ingredients. And actually, I recorded my cooking of this on our Instagram stories. So you can go to our Instagram stories, and actually had it go to our Facebook stories as well. So you can watch how I cooked this as I was cooking it. But it's just like 1 onion, 3 tablespoons of butter, a cup of breadcrumbs, 2 cups of grated raw carrots, 2 eggs, a cup of milk, a teaspoon of salt, and a dash of pepper. That's it. So it like very minimal ingredients. It actually smells pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of butter in it though, so pretty much what I'm smelling is like butter.
I did have to cheat a little bit because we kind of went back and forth, my parents and I, like, okay, a greased meat plate. So it's like, is that glass? Is that metal? Most likely, if it's a greased pie plate, it's metal. But I didn't have any that would fit that size. So I decided to go for glass. And then I actually put it into a 9-inch to begin with, and it was too small. So just before I went to put in the filling, I grabbed a 10-inch glass pie plate and put it in there, and it definitely held the filling a lot better, because I think if I tried it with the other one, it just would have started overflowing.
Okay.
So, but I cheated a bit and Googled, you know, what kind of pie plate should I be using, you know, cheated on the size. So that was it, I swear. That's all I cheated.
I didn't cheat on mine because the instructions were very clear, and I didn't need to sort of figure anything out. Mine said to put it in a greased Pyrex dish, and I have one from my grandmother. So it's very 70s-ish, but I put it in a nice 70s Pyrex dish. Now, mine also said you can serve it just in the dish as it is, or you can remove it from the dish and serve it with sliced hard-boiled eggs and a white sauce. So I actually put it up into stories asking if people would want me to do that. And yeah, pretty much everyone voted yes. So I get to make a white sauce and hard-boiled eggs to go with this. So how much longer does yours have in the oven?
Let's see here. 30 seconds, so I'm going to check on it, and it might go for another 5.
All right, we could probably stop the share.
Yeah, and just switch you over.
There we go. I'm just
there we go.
For Facebook to see how it transitions, because it's a
bit of a lag.
Yeah, there's a bit of a lag on Facebook. All right, so it shows both of us. So now I'm going to show everybody what my carrot loaf looks like.
And there's my timer.
So this is my lovely Pyrex dish that I got. That was my grandmother's. And this is the carrot loaf. Now, it doesn't actually look bad. It smells all right, like pretty buttery, but like 3 tablespoons of butter is a lot more than what I would typically fry up onions in. So I'm going to start actually I already made the hard-boiled eggs because I didn't want to have to, well, I only have one induction cooktop, so I couldn't be doing 2 things at once. So I'm going to just put that off to the side. I'm going to move my camera, and I'm going to start making my white sauce. I haven't made one in a long time, so this is going to be fun.
No pressure. It's only live TV.
Yeah, it's only live TV. This will be fine. Okay, can you see that? You can't see my stuff. I'm trying to do it. Wait, what can you see there?
That's a pretty good angle right there, I think.
I just gotta underneath. Okay.
There you go.
So I'm gonna hunch. Obviously, our kitchens are not commercial kitchens where people do a lot of baking. So I have a tiny little pot because I'm just gonna make a little bit of white sauce so I can try some of it with the white sauce and some without the white sauce to see if it's any different. And in this bowl here, I have some hard-boiled eggs cooling. So I already measured out the same amount of butter and flour to start my white sauce. I'm gonna get that butter melting in my tiny little pot.
I love the whisk.
Yeah, this was actually my grandmother's too. It is my favorite whisk. Here, I'll go a little closer so people can see it. And it's like, it's bouncy. It is my favorite whisk, and I use it all the time. And I've never seen another one like it. But after my grandmother passed away, I went through a bunch of her kitchen stuff and grabbed a bunch of things, and this was one of them. Woo! That butter is already melted. So now I'm going to add my flour. And for a white sauce, you use equal parts butter and flour. And then you cook the flour a bit so you don't get a really paste-like flavor to your white sauce.
And white sauce is also referred to as a bechamel sauce. So if anyone's Googling that on the internet.
Still pretty buttery smelling, so I'm just gonna cook a little more. Okay, we don't have any comments on our Facebook while people are watching live. Thanks for joining us. How about those people who are watching on Facebook live as we're doing this? Where are you tuning in from? Are you tuning in from Winnipeg? Are you tuning in from Manitoba or from out of province? Look at us trying to be influencers. Okay, that's all right. Now I'm just gonna add, I don't know how much milk. Some milk. Sure.
That's a scientific measurement of some.
And my cooktop turned off. And now this will just have to cook to thicken.
So while you're doing that, we had discussed doing some other Taste of Transcona small talks in the future. One of the ideas we came up with was challenging each other. So the other individual would tell, okay, these are all the ingredients you're going to need, and now here's your recipe. Good luck.
Yeah, without knowing ahead of time, to do any Googling to find out if to get any answers or anything like that. And sometimes, like we said, the recipe doesn't tell you anything from the cookbook. And, we talked about that, and we thought it was likely people knew how to make a cake.
Mm-hmm.
And things like that. So, you didn't need to put a crazy amount of instructions in it because, people already knew how to do a lot of that. Ooh, we have a comment.
Ooh.
Hello, Rob. Good afternoon to you too. Another thing too, a big difference we found, okay, this is a cookbook that's coming from like the newspaper. Ooh, it's thickening pretty good. So, they were definitely, there was less space to write out the recipe and stuff like that. It's not like when you go to Pinterest or a website now to get a recipe and they tell you their life story before they actually get to the recipe. Ooh, that's super thick. Turn that off now. Probably should have added some salt and pepper before.
Okay, so mine's out of the oven. I'm going to carefully bring it over so you can see what it looks like.
Okay, that's
so there's that. I mean, okay. A lasagna almost without the pasta aspect of it.
So low carb, it's keto, right? It's keto.
I'm just hoping that, I'm sure the meat cooked.
Well, how long was it in the oven?
25, 35, 40 minutes.
Okay.
40 minutes. I might stick it in for like another 5 because I like to err on the side of caution.
The white sauce tastes okay. So I am going to get my cooktop out of the way and then get my hard-boiled eggs shelled, and then I can plate up some of this carrot loaf that I've made. And I am the worst, absolute worst at de-shelling hard-boiled eggs. So,
I mean, there are so many tips out there. I mean, I've heard like of what you're doing, rolling it, cracking it. I've done it under cold running water. Yeah. I've heard of putting baking soda in the water as they're like kind of cooling.
Yeah, the baking soda softens the shell. Actually, this one is doing really well. Jen, do you want to change it to gallery view other than speaker view?
Sure.
It's just showing one person on. See if that changed it on Facebook. There we go. Now people can see us both.
We're still trying to figure all this out.
Yeah, we haven't done a live like this where we're in 2 different locations on different devices trying so people can see us at the same time. All right, that's a pretty good hard-boiled egg. Now for the carrot loaf. There, I'll turn it so you can see the pretty design.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Moment of truth
The
time.
top got crispy, but it's kind of mushy inside. We had another comment from Joan. She loves watching us cook, and she's been a cook for 60 years. Her best friend is now a meat thermometer, which I actually just got one too, Joan. I did it for, what was it, Prime Day. I got one so I could have as well. Because my old one
transition into the ad.
because my old one was the metal thing you stick in the meat that has a dial that never actually told you what the temperature was. Okay. So. All right. Carrot. All right. All right, I'm going to get this out of the way. Okay, so here is my cut carrot loaf. And maybe had I used an actual like loaf pan, it would have been taller. But my Pyrex dish was kind of flat. And I didn't know how much it was actually going to make. You know, I didn't know what that would transition to. So here it is. Now, do you think it's eggs and then white sauce, or white sauce then eggs?
I don't know. Maybe eggs and then white sauce?
Okay.
Kind of like, you know, like an eggs Benny.
Okay. Okay. So I've got my hard-boiled egg there.
I can't use like the smallest little pieces.
I'll get that out of the way. So maybe I'll. This one else is inside my cupboard. There, people can see it now, I guess. Maybe my white sauce is a bit thick. Maybe could have added some more milk to that. So Jen, when's yours ready to try?
It's just sitting on the stove cooling. So probably about another 5 or so minutes.
5 or so minutes. So you just get to watch me.
Pretty much. I'm going to enjoy this so much.
Okay, so we have carrot loaf, and then I've got my eggs and my white sauce, which I just threw a little bit of salt and pepper into it as well. So I guess I got to get a bite that has everything. Okay, cheers. Very carroty. Just like straight carrot flavor, a bit of sweetness actually. Now I'm getting like the onion. It's not horrible.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually not bad. Now I only had baby carrots, so I wasn't about to grate baby carrots. So I just threw them in like this chopper thing that I have,
yep.
Which maybe that's why it has such an intense carrot flavor, because it wasn't like thin strips. It's more like tiny little chunks. I did get it really fine, but potentially that's why. The egg really doesn't do anything for it.
I wonder if it's because, the carrot loaf itself is practically vegetarian. So if you want a source of protein, you're sticking an egg on top.
Well, there's 2 eggs in it to like.
Oh, okay, bind it.
It's actually not bad. It'd be really interesting to try it again, but to actually put some other flavorings and seasoning in it. Like, I don't know, maybe they like even like a curry powder might be interesting. Like a curry
I was just thinking, like you could do probably a bit of ginger.
I'd probably put more pepper in. I did put in more pepper than it called for, because I enjoy pepper. It's kind of nice that the top is crispy. It's weird that the inside is a little mushy, but my toothpick came out clean when I, tested it, just like I would a cake, assuming. So, must be cooked.
And I mean, the benefit of not doing it in such a really tall pan too is that it probably would have been even more mushier.
It
right?
Probably would have had to cook a lot longer. Yeah, which would have potentially maybe then almost burnt the top than having it like a flatter layer, so it cooked faster. Now it did cook in 45 minutes. I did put it just called for a 350-degree oven. I put mine in at like on convection, just so it was, I can't read my screen, just so I made sure it was done. I also my oven broke a while ago, so I just have a toaster oven, and I find it doesn't cook as well. The insides tend to be a little mushy when I make things, so that could also be the fact that I'm using a toaster oven, not like a big oven. But overall, like, this isn't bad. Actually, what would be really good is if you added like zucchini to this. Like, I have this recipe where I make zucchini balls. So like zucchini and like garlic would make
hit it with some garlic.
Yeah, like garlic powder would make this like really good. It's not bad though.
Okay. I'm gonna check to see what mine's doing. Oh my goodness. All right. There's so much cheese on this thing.
But that's a good thing. Cheese never made anything bad.
No. If you're watching, Mom, oh, it looks good. We're in for a treat tonight.
Actually, I don't think my family, well, my kids probably wouldn't touch this little template at all, but I think my husband will eat it.
Hey, meat looked like it cooked. Okay. So, I don't know if you can see the layers here. Trying to get my angle. So there's the meat crust. Then we got our rice filling and then our cheesy top. Actually, I can't see myself when I do that. All right. My one hope, well, is the meat gonna cook and then is the rice gonna cook?
Mm-hmm. Well, it was minute rice, so it should have.
It's true. That's a lot of tomato sauce. That's all I'm tasting. But the rice is done. Rice is good. Okay, no, that is cooked. That is cooked.
Okay.
It's actually really good.
Okay.
It's really good. It just, I would have liked to have the ground beef a little crispier almost.
Mm. So did you have to cook the beef before you put the filling in?
No. So another reason why I'm really glad I went with a larger pan so that it was thinner.
Right.
And it wasn't as thick because it probably wouldn't have cooked as well.
So we've done 2 savory dishes and both of them not bad.
Actually, this isn't half bad.
Well, it'd be almost meatloafy.
It's so tomatoey.
Mm.
It needs, like, I'm not getting salt or pepper. I'm 1/8 of a teaspoon of oregano is not that much. You're tasting nothing in this. It definitely needs more spice. It's good. It's actually pretty good.
So that's 2 wins for 2 recipes that we were like, is this actually going to be good? Yeah. Again, we would both add more seasonings to it. I would definitely add garlic to mine, maybe even like curry powder or something like that. And my recipe, it did have eggs in it and butter, but you could modify that and it could be vegetarian or vegan even. So that's another option in a lot of very meat heavy savory dishes that we had. It's like a vegetarian side. Did say that this goes well with ham, cooked ham as like a side for cooked ham. So, that's a win. I think they're both good.
I'm still eating mine.
Yeah, I finished mine and I'll have more for lunch now that I know it. It's not bad.
I think my parents would actually enjoy this.
Okay.
So that's supper.
Supper's done early.
Yeah. Just reheat it in the microwave.
Yeah. So we'll definitely be doing another one of these at another time. We might do the challenge one where we just challenge each other. We pick a recipe and not tell the other person what it is and have them just give them the ingredients and the recipe last minute and make them do it. And maybe do the same sort of thing like we did today where we have sort of follow along as we're preparing it on Instagram, Facebook, in the stories. And then we'll do a little live tasting. The very first time we ever did one of these Taste of Transcona is we actually did a bit of a taste test. And we invited people into the museum and we made the 60s version. And then we invited people to try, we found ones that were very similar on Pinterest. And we made the sort of today version of it. And then we had people guess which was the 60s version and which was the one that we got off of Pinterest. So that was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, we can't do anything like that right now.
No.
Just because of the whole situation. But we can definitely challenge other people. And then, I don't know, do you think we could like maybe open this up to other people? If you have a recipe that is interesting 60s, and if you're from Transcona or it's from like a community cookbook even,
yeah,
we could look at doing something like that as well in our next version that we do. Don't know when the next one is. Our next small talk is
here. I'll just switch. I'll put it on the share screen again. So, tasted it. Why these recipes? Live Q&A. There we go.
Okay, so the next one that's coming up is the history of Regent Avenue to the 1930s. So you can watch it on Facebook Live, or if you want to watch it on Zoom with us as we do it, just RSVP on the website and we'll send you the link. As well, we put all of these videos up on YouTube after the fact, so you can actually watch it anytime on YouTube. And then on December 15th, we're going to do part 2 of Snapshot, a look into the 1960s. So this is our negative collection that we've digitized. And we're going to be doing another presentation as we highlight some of the images from that collection. And just want to go back to the other slide, just so people can see the recipes. So these are the recipes. So we'll just come here for a minute if people wanted to see what we did. So if they wanted to try these as well.
And 2 thumbs up. If you're just tuning in, 2 thumbs up for these recipes.
Yeah, they were actually both pretty good. A little bit more seasoning today.
Yes.
We would add, but otherwise totally pretty good actually.
Yeah.
All right. So does anyone have any questions?
I'm just jumping all over the place.
If you're watching this on Facebook, you can leave your question in the comment. If you're watching it on Zoom with us, you can leave it in the chat. But yeah, these are fun to do. So good to do it every once in a while.
And we totally sneaked this one in too. We weren't planning it. So keep a watch on our social media pages. We might sneak in another one before the Christmas holidays.
Yeah, it was just, I had that idea like, oh, we talked about doing savory before. Wait, we both have access to a kitchen. Why don't we try this? And so we found recipes and we went for it. There are no questions on Facebook.
Okay.
Doesn't look like any have come in on Zoom. So we'll wrap it up here. But if you have any questions at all, you can just leave them in the comment of however you are watching this video. If you're watching it on Facebook or if you're watching it on YouTube, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and we'll get to your questions and get back to you with answers as they're posted, sort of thing.
All right. So thank you very much for tuning in today. And we hope you'll join us again soon.
Yes. Bye. 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 There we go.